Hey there, this is Therese Skelly, and I am so excited that you are going to be listening to an episode of the Fiercely Brilliant podcast. Do you like those two words? Fiercely Brilliant. My hypothesis is that you are here for a reason. We all are. Our souls have led us on journeys that have very often taken some twists and turns, and sometimes it's not pretty. Sometimes there's struggle and there's loss and there's challenge, and in the middle of that, there's always a way out. And it's those times that often lead us into our great life and work. So you're going to hear stories in these episodes of myself and other beautiful people that share the journey. They share how they got to the place where they're standing, working in their brilliance, and being the powerful leaders that they are. So stay tuned and enjoy this episode. Hello again. This is Therese Skelly, and this is another episode of the Fiercely Brilliant podcast. This is where I talk to people about their journeys, and I bring on the coolest guests around the concept of what it's like to be fiercely brilliant in the world, what it's like to be on the journey. And sometimes, as we know, the journey is like this, and other times it's actually mostly it's like this. And I always want to bring you hope and inspiration. I always want you to never feel like, I don't know how these people do it. They've got something I don't have. What is wrong with me? And so I love women and men that come on and just get real. We're just really all about getting real, speaking the truth, no shame, nothing held back. Right? And so today, you're going to love this interview. This is Nicolette Tura. And Nicolette, actually, I've been with Nicolette. She's a beautiful woman that I've met in another friend's program. I've been at retreats with Nicolette. And this is a freaking powerhouse young woman. So Nicolette, welcome, my dear.
Thank you, Therese. And thank you for holding that kind of space. What you do in the world is so needed. So thank you. And I just want to say hi to each and every one of you. I'm seeing you and I love you, and thank you for being here with us.
Nice, beautiful. And Nicolette, I'm just going to let you tell them what you do in the world. So like, what are your gifts? What are you up to? Who do you serve? Like just riff on that for a second. And I know it changes all the time, like with all of us, but kind of what do you want to share about that?
Yes. I first want to say, if you don't know what the fuck you're supposed to do on planet Earth, like, yes, like I was that person. I grew up going, I love everybody. I don't see color. I don't see sexuality. I was born in 1979, in case you don't know. So that was the edge of racist comments, sexist, right? Like it was there. And it's just like, I'm this pure soul. I knew it in my heart. But how is that going to pay the bills?
Right.
I don't know where I belong. So what do I do? It took me a long time to get to that, and I'm still trying to own it.
Yeah.
I started my wellness business in 2011, and that came from being in the nonprofit world and not knowing my sensitivity and thought I could change that way. So we might uncover that part of my story.
Yeah.
But what do? I hold space through wellness gifts such as yoga. I teach yoga, I teach meditation, I lead retreats, I work one-on-one with women. It's whatever source asks me to do, I will do it and remove myself out of the way, which I feel is a really good gift. I have no agenda. I don't want my student to be with me forever.
Right.
What can I do for you right now? And that's my gift, is that I can hone in. I have an array of spiritual tools like astrology, mindset coaching. And it's like, I can cut through the bullshit. It's like, no, you're lying to yourself. And you want me to tell you that with love, right? So that you're not giving me all your money. And it's like, oh, I know who I am faster. And that's my gift. Know who you are. Love it. Honor it. We need you like that.
Ooh, I just love that. I love that. Wonderful. So when this podcast is entitled The Fiercely Brilliant Podcast. And I always ask my guests, like, what does that mean to you to show up, to live in like fierce brilliance? How do you and apologize for the dogs. They're just doing their fierce brilliant selves if you hear them in the background.
Excited. Okay. Fiercely brilliant. I love your word choice, because fierce, you gotta be. You'll get swallowed up in this world, because I am an empathic guide to those that feel everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So fierce means, holy shit, I need to take up space. And as a woman, that was not encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
As a minority person, that was, as a poor person, all this, we've all been marginalized. So to be fierce, I have to look a certain way. And it's like, fuck no, because that shit's transient. That was one of my stories was, no, don't take me seriously because I'm not pretty enough. I'm not thin enough.
Yeah.
When you ask me to be fierce, it's like, fuck, I got to dig deep for that.
Right.
And then brilliant is like, oh my God, if you don't understand your mind and you get trapped in the conditions and the media and it's easy to then where's your brilliance? How is God's source speaking through you? Right. So when you say that, it's like that.
Mic drop. Well, you know, when I first started the branding, it was fiercely here. I wanted women to show up because there was so much conditioning, and you're 20 years younger than I am. And you still have the conditioning. You still, as a 40-year-old woman, still got, it's still in the fucking space, right? And so we still get the conditioning about being silenced and, like you say, being marginalized, being shut down, being suppressed. And so after a while, I'm like, oh, I don't want my women just here. I don't want them brilliant. Because to me, if you're just here, it's good. You're taking up some space. But brilliance is where things transpire. Like brilliance, when we're being in our brilliance, whoa, we're like radiant. That's when people light up. And so I think we can do more good. And you are a beautiful demonstration of that.
I receive that. And yes, because brilliance is the diamond. And if you don't know, diamonds come from the pressure, right?
Oh, nice. Right.
How it's made. It's like every force in the world was trying to stop you from being you. So you chose that word with that power of, I fucking rose up and I'm taking up space because there's room for all of us to do that. And that's something they try to fucking say.
Right.
And that's where they want us women to be like, who does she think she is? Blah, right? Exactly. And then we shrink. And so if you don't know, in the collective, this rise of the divine feminine's been happening, the Me Too movement, all of that. Because when we gather, shit happens.
Right. I got goosebumps hearing this. Yes. Nice. Oh, nice. And can I just say, I love your mouth. I love your sassiness. I actually got an email from somebody who said, you're going to lose credibility because you're vulgar. And I replied nicely and I invited her to unsubscribe if that was offensive to her. And I just thought, isn't that interesting? One word is gonna, I thought you're buying into the whole suppression. And so one of the things I love about Nicolette is like, I would say fierce as fuck. Like Nurse Nicolette is like, boom. And it's not even gratuitous, oh, I'm just going to drop F-bombs in. It's just being so in the moment and so accepting of who you are. I personally love it. And so I want to invite you, my women that are watching, where's the place where you're holding back, right? Because Nicolette, like 20 years difference, she got a lot quicker than I did, I think. But to be able just to express who you are and not care. So let's talk about that, because I'm assuming that you talked about being a minority, a woman, a poor person. I'll bet there was a lot of, when you said trying to fit in or caring. So can you share a little bit of your journey story, how you got to this badass place from where you sound like you started? Can you go into that?
Yes. And thank you for asking. Okay. I was a people pleaser. I was born because I love to love. I fucking love to love. And so anytime someone was uncomfortable, I felt it like my own, right? So if you out there feel, that's what an empath is. And I don't know if there's a scale, but if you can't tell the difference, it could be your demise, right? So when you ask me how I got to this place, it wasn't innate. It was I could shapeshift. I knew what people wanted me to be. So my parents were fighting. Let me become the 5-year-old mom to help. So I took that on. And then let me pack on the weight. So if those of you who have extra weight that you don't need, that's an energetic protection according to some sources. So I did that. And it was like, let me be the nice chubby girl.
Wow.
That's safe. So all of my friends were, I know what you need and I could be that. That was my skill.
Right.
So who was I? What did I like? That didn't matter. That was very deep, right? So here I am body shaming, looking at my thighs as an 8-year-old girl going, oh, hell.
8?
8 years old on a fucking field trip going, my thighs rub. They rub already.
At 8.
8.
Oh, but see, that's the cultural conditioning. That's the objectification. That breaks my heart. The little 8-year-old is already aware that she's wrong. Oh my God.
That was a big prison for me. So if we go down that road, so you're asking me, how did I get to this bold spoken, right?
Yeah.
I went through the boyfriends that were unemotionally available and let me serve. And so my voice, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I was so scared. And I can't tell you when I finally said, who am I? What do I have to say? It might've been in just the last 3 years, to be completely right? Because of that conditioning, because of that, right. I need someone outside of me to give me permission. So if you get anything from this talk today, no one's going to give you that.
Right.
But you, until you're ready to be like, I am worthy no matter what I look like, what I think I have to say. That's my biggest message, because life is short.
So because I always like to take the stories and say, if somebody is listening to that and they're kind of in the same place, right? Like, let me back up. We got to do 2 things. Number 1, we got to talk about people pleasing. But number 2 is going first. Talk about being an energetic empath that just takes on, like when you use the word shapeshifter, to me, it's the epitome of codependency. I'll be what you need me so I get my love needs met. So I'm okay if I make you happy. I'm okay if I'm getting validation. I'm okay if I look a certain way or if I'm accepted by, it's like everything outside of us. So how do you know if you're an empath? How do you guard against just being like you use the word demise, right? You can be annihilated with all the energies and other people's. So how do you kind of like unpack that a little bit? I know this could be a 3-hour workshop, but we're just sort of 5 minutes.
In the making. That's a really good question. How funny, look, I never put my other earring in. Notice that I'm like doing a little Mr. T thing.
I felt like, hey, you're just like your own self here, girl. Right on.
So I didn't know I was that. And when you don't know, you're depleted all the time. You're tired. Fucking tired. And I ate.
Yeah.
I ate to feel.
That was your solution. Yeah.
That was my solution. So I'm trying to unpack it in reverse for you, right? So when you don't know you're an empath, you're exhausted. And you usually have some sort of vice to escape. Food or, right? We all do on a human level, drug, right? To feel and to stop the thoughts of, because I don't know about everyone else. I only know my mind, and my mind is incessant. It is incessant.
Oh God, the looping?
Yes.
It's hell. That's personal hell. Yes.
I coined a term, vulnerability hangover. Even with trusted friends, it's like, what the fuck did I say? Now they know that deepest part of me.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so I'm trying to come back to this space. If you're listening, it's like, how do I know I'm an empath? If you can't, because some people are born like, I know myself. I'm like, bless you. They're like, right? They're just out.
Yeah.
I can't speak from that experience. So from an empathic experience, you're just drowning. You're overwhelmed. You don't know which way is up. Someone outside of you has to tell you. And then you're like in this narcissistic loop, which I've been in denial about with some of the closest people in my life, that they own me. My worth depends on them. They say one thing and I'm depleted. I'm on the floor. I'm a mess. Like, what is that? I feel like an empathic person, if you have the tools, can go, thank you. You're allowed to have your opinion.
Right.
Let it wash through me. And I'm working as hard as fuck to get to that place. But it takes me 3 hours a day to do meditation, yoga, and everything.
Yeah, right. Well, and so some of it, another way is like other people are more important than you. Like soothing them, their needs, keeping them, you know what I mean? So and sometimes an empath is like, you just take on the stuff of the world. Maybe you're not even in a bad relationship, but all of a sudden you're like, you watch the news and it runs through you. So there's blessings and curses with that, right? That there's tremendous gifts and it's a hard one sometimes. So how do you manage it? How do you, like you talked about yoga, meditation, how do you, what do you do to not just be like a sponge for all the feelings and all the energies?
Thank you for reminding me that sometimes it's not even mine.
Oh, mostly. Usually.
I was the first person, honestly, when I started Julie's program, that's how we met. It's like, ask yourself, is this mine? And it's still hard to know, but at least it gives you space.
Yeah, right. Right.
You're like, yeah. And so when you ask, especially now, right? If you're already an empath and then everything going on in the world, I'm here for you, because it's so hard. Like I want to be on social media because there's so many people like Teresa's group that I want to be on. Yeah. And then I go down the loop of, and I'm trying to clean out my feed, but you still get those people voicing their opinion, and they're right. And it's like my sensitive heart goes, I'm not doing enough. I'm bad. They're talking directly to me. I am not doing this. And then I go down this rabbit hole.
Right. Yeah.
Internalizing when they're talking about other people, or who knows if they're being in integrity. They could be posting a bunch of shit and doing not saying. Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
But I'm the one on the floor depressed and self-pitying if I don't pick myself up.
Yeah. So the number one thing is it mine? That's one of the techniques I teach. Is this feeling mine? And and this isn't for you, but for somebody listening, sometimes I always ask, what's the payoff? Like, what's a payoff for, you got to have discernment. And as an empath, almost seemingly the worst thing is, I don't want to not care. But sometimes you got to not care. Sometimes like you got to shut off social media. You got to like, okay, turn it over to God. Like whatever is not mine to fix. Like sometimes none of us want to be like cold and hard and bitch like, but sometimes it's like, you got to choose yourself first. And so Nicolette, do you have that? Like, are you in that space of like choosing myself first?
Grace bless you, because that message, I need it tattooed on my forehead.
Your gorgeous forehead. Okay.
I'm getting huge downloads that worthiness, like there's this deep block to, why do I feel responsible? See, speaking from my experience, why do I feel egotistical that I'm here to save the world? I don't know why. Right. And then you're right. Like if you don't have a definition of God or something bigger than you, and that's what led me to depression and suicide attempts in the past, because I was broken spiritually from my religious upbringing.
Right. That happens a lot.
So I'm grateful I can say the G word, God, without, so it's a whole nother storyline, but that's why I teach self-love, because I'm having a hard time. Like if we're to judge doctors who smoke, right? It's like we're in the craft for a fucking reason. We're not, we're human too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're all out there smoking in it, right? So my point is, I am doing that work as much as possible, and it's taking me a long time to love myself, and I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, I love your authenticity. I love your authenticity, because like the first time I met you, we were at a retreat. And she opened her mouth. We did some work together. I call it, and I like, I just like fell all over you because of the courage and because of the willingness to dive into whatever depths you got to go to get in, right? And do the work. You're just all about the soul purpose. And I feel like for all of us, Nicolette, it's like, I'm here to serve, but then but I don't have to be a martyr, right? That is such a balance point. And I'm listening, I'm having conversations with my girlfriends, like, it's time for women to step up and stop being marginalized, stop like overgiving, letting men off the hook, silencing our voices. It feels like right now, the time we're in, everything's breaking down. It's like the Great Awakening, like everything's just like, holy shit, a lot of paradigms are changing. And we're all in these, right now, we're in this like crazy eclipse season. So all our issues and our wounds and our shit's coming up. It's just like, we're like in the vice grip, but there's great hope. I really have great, great, great hope. And so if you could like, I know you're an astrologer but you're a lover of humanity. So if you could like speak into what you would like to see people be or do or get, especially women, what would you like to, like, if we're going to reinvent how women show up, what would you like to have?
Oh, I felt there were multiple questions in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I know.
Let me write that down. Like, if I look at what's happening in the world from a cosmic lens, can you give me that permission?
Go anywhere you want to go. Absolutely.
This is not to devalue anything that's happening, right? Because
but there's multiple layers, so we can speak to all of them, right?
Yeah. It's a good analogy to look at the human body. Like, you have a liver and you have the whole system. And if right now we're looking at the liver, which is Black Lives Matter, right? It's the lens that we're all asking to be seen, but it doesn't mean the whole of humanity. So if you kind of, I don't know, that's helping me, right? Because a lot of people can't wrap their head around that. Don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but cosmically. You're right. A lot of shit's dismantling, and it has to get really bad.
Mm-hmm.
We have to wipe out the systemic stuff that was in place from the consciousness that was there.
Right.
Because I've been, where do I start? I personally feel change will not happen unless you do it individually, because that's who is making the decisions. If we look at the white men who created this, they were the ones doing it, and then women. Right? So it's like, we have to be patient with evolution. And that's why I say, if you really want to see the change in the world, you have to start here, because it's what you see. It's what you accept. And then you can take right action or not. You're not just...
Yeah. Good.
I feel like we're guilt fucking just showering everyone's guilt and inner child and wounds, and not to say that's not okay or okay. It's just, that's what's happening in my opinion right now. And the guilt showers we're all getting is just, I don't know. It's overwhelming and creating a lot of burnout for people.
I'm hearing the same thing. Okay. So on a cosmic level, do your own work, right? Do your own work. Be the change you want to see in the world, right? I love that. Okay. So what else? What else?
Women. Oh, you're speaking to I am feeling in my loins and through my clients that women are finally ready to wake up sexually.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because if you don't know what pleasures you, and you can't connect with your partner or find the partner, it's like, where are you? My whole gift is communication. How do you communicate with yourself, your body, your energy, your mind? And then your world starts to, right? It's that interplay. Because I used to walk around angry and be like, why isn't it? I'm the common. It's hard to look inside and do this work. But when you do, oh my God, my husband is my biggest teacher. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
Girl, let's just say, like, I picked a good one. And so the whole thing is, my wounds about money and worth were in my head, and we can talk now about my perceptions and my actions that I've taken on it. When he's like, if you would have just asked me. I was thinking, and us women are like in this loop and like,
exactly.
Would have just asked me. Yeah, I'm an asshole sometimes, but we're on the same page 99% of the time. I'm like, oh,
that's awesome. That is awesome. Right. But it's, the story there is, number one, I love the pleasure part. And it's like, what do you desire? Because for, the opposite of codependent is, oh, this is what I want, instead of, oh, I'm going to give you what you want. How can I serve you? How can, and I'm like guilty. I was a freaking therapist. Like, I was raised serving people. I still love to serve people, but not at my own expense today. Right. And so that's the dance, is like, if you're called to be a person that is contributing and serving, of course, but you can't do it. Like Nicole says, you cannot be depleted in doing it. You've got Nicolette, I'm talking about. I know, there's like, that was our past life experience together in Paris. So anyway, Nicolette, so like you talked about, you cannot give at your own expense. You cannot be depleted from giving. And so that's the opportunity. And sex is pretty nourishing, right? That's a yummy, yummy, yummy thing. And speaking up, asking for what you want, demanding what you want, claiming what you want. I feel like that is going to shift for women, and it's going to shift for minorities, Black people, like the marginalized. It feels like the people that have been marginalized, we're not playing this role anymore. We're going to equal the thing out. So,
chills. Yes.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yes. That's exactly what's happening. Is I feel we're all getting the gift of, instead of being busy, we were so externally, right, with the way the world was going with consumerism, and that we were expected to be tethered to phones. Even in shelter in place, it's still happening, but you're in your own aura, you're in your own energy, in your own shit, and you're like, oh, right? What am I tolerating? What am I about? What am I pissing? Right?
Lots of opportunities. That's so good. Well, Darlene, I'm sure, like, who does not want to follow Nicolette? Like, people are going, oh my God, I got to know more of this woman. So how do they follow you? Where do they find you? And if you have something free you want to offer, just share that as well.
Thank you. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all under my business name, The Illuminated Body.
Nice.
When you are enlightened on all levels, you radiate out, which is your brilliance, right? The Illuminated Body. You can find me there. That's my website, theilluminatedbody.com. And I have a gift cooking for you all, which is to be powerful now. It's a guided meditation to help you not feel so scattered, right? You're
nice.
calling our energy away, so bring it home in your own way. And so that'll be available to you very soon.
It's awesome. I love that. Woo, thank you. Well, I'm so glad we got to do this today. Perfect day to do this interview. And so thank you for showing up, bringing your badass brilliance. And, I adore you, and I want to see more of you out in the world, serving in a way you want to serve. So anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
This has been a delight, and I want to thank each and every one of you for your time and energy. I love you.
Mwah. All right. So gang, we would love, reach out. Like, what did you learn from this? Do you have any questions? And more importantly, leave a review. Reviews are good on Amazon or wherever platform you're listening to this. And we will be back. I'll see you again on another episode. Peace and blessings. Bye now.
Bye.
Hey, this is Teresa, and I'm so excited that you were with us today for another episode of the Fiercely Brilliant podcast. If you are inspired to get to that brilliant place, if you heard some wisdom today that made you think, yeah, I need some help in that area, I would encourage you to have a conversation with me. Super simple. You just go to treeskelly.com/let's connect. It's a no charge, no pressure conversation. And if I can support you to clear the blocks, to really step into that brilliance, oh my gosh, it would be a delight. And I'll be honest with you, we'll just have a great conversation and see where we can take it. Peace and blessings. Bye.